This is Beyond the Moon, a Ditch Witch podcast where we dig deep into news, job site stories, Ditch Witch culture, and all the other dirt that makes up the industry.
I'm the host, Sean Hubbard, here with Super Witch driver Don Pemberton. Before we jump into this too much, producer, I would love to hear a roar of the engine of the Super Witch. Yes. That's it. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what we're talking about today. Did you ever think that your job would lead you to being a star of a story in the Wall Street Journal?
Never in my life.
No,
That's was not what I was gearing for when I hired on.
No doubt. That was kind of a wild ride. So that, let's talk about that a little bit. What was that experience like for you? I mean, we had multiple conversations, probably a year or so leading up to the final event at Utility Expo.
Well, the biggest part of that's when I met you, and you've been in trouble ever since.
That's right. That's just causing problems for Don.
Yeah. So, they've kind of followed us around there for a couple of years, getting information on it and trying to decide what they wanted to write about it. It ended up being a pretty good article. Kind of cool for me.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I mean, your picture's in there, you're quoted a bunch, and it's all about the Super Witch and what it means to Ditch Witch as a brand and what it means to Don as a person. But he kind of tongue-in-cheek said that I started causing a bunch of problems for him, and I did. It came from that article,
exactly.
Right? It was, I can't remember the exact title, but it's something about the world's coolest ditch digging job is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. And it implied that Don had retired and he's no longer with the company, and we are scrambling to try to figure out what we're going to do, which most of that is true, except Don is sitting here right now.
Yeah, I
not
decided
retired.
to stay on for a while at the fleet management job instead of the Super Witch.
Yeah. So the Wall Street Journal, and Austin Hufford is his name, the reporter that came down and spent some time with us to do that. He came down and got to watch several shows in Louisville at Utility Expo, and those shows were a little bit unique. We decided to not bring our most up-to-date iteration 7 of the Super Witch. We brought, I think it was Super Witch 4. Is that correct?
Super Witch 4, yes.
Yeah, which was the machine that you had kind of started on.
That Super Witch 4 is the actual original machine. We just updated it when we updated equipment. But it was the first Super Witch frame that we ever had.
Yeah.
So it was
the OG.
Yeah, it brought out the old with the old.
That's right. Yeah. So the idea was this is the first one that Don ran, and this is going to be the last one he runs.
Yeah.
And it was a heck of a show, but it does come with some challenges. So it was an older machine that we hadn't had out a whole lot, but we decided to roll it out when the lights are the brightest, and we've got the Wall Street Journal there, and hundreds, if not thousands, of people wanting to watch it. And how did it perform?
Not good.
Not good.
Not good.
What was wrong with it?
The gas tank was full of rust, and we had a couple of shows in order to get that all ironed out. But we finally got there and got it running pretty good and did some good wheelies.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really good. I mean, and that's some of the stuff that people don't think about. They just see, like we talked about last episode, a 3-minute show that Don puts on. So it was discovered in the first run, I think, of the first day, that we've got a problem.
Yeah, and the next run wasn't much better. So we figured out where the problem was at, but it's going to take some time to get that all out of there. So, so they got to watch us work on it and do some things with it to get it back ready to go. And we got there, but it's just a little...
And I remember telling Austin that. So we were at what we call a VIP event. That we host a bunch of customers and dealers at a restaurant or little gathering place out there, and we were sitting around having drinks and having a good time and socializing, and Don and the other folks from the training department and some other people that are involved in the Super Witch were still in the booth late at night draining that thing and trying to get it cleaned up because the show must go on at 9 a.m. tomorrow, right?
Correct. Got to get her going.
There's just a lot to it. So at that show also we and Don is very much the inspiration for this, but from the initial conversations that we had with the Wall Street Journal and Austin in years past, is it really put a spotlight on us like we didn't know, but I mean, it gave us a lot of motivation to think about things that we can do extra with the Super Witch. And one of the ideas that came out of that was a VR game that we have with the Super Witch. So you can get in and put the goggles on and you actually drive the machine. Right, it's a really cool process that we went through. It's the real sounds. It's a real feel. There's a stadium. You drive around and pick up logos and things like that. It's really cool to see that. But have you ever been in the VR of the Super Witch?
No.
Do you have any interest in being in the VR?
I know the real machine.
Yeah, you like the real one. So that's kind of a funny thing is we've had several thousand people put those headsets on and drive the Super Witch, and the guy that drives the Super Witch, not interested.
Not interested.
No, it's not the same.
I've had opportunity to do it.
I've tried to get you to do it.
I've just never put a set of those on.
Yeah,
so.
I think we were at maybe the 16th celebration in Perry. Did your grandkids maybe try it out?
My grandsons, they tried it. They're into that stuff pretty heavy.
What do they think of Grandpa being the star of the show at parades and shows like that?
You know, they've grown up with that, so I don't think they're as excited as another kid that would walk up and just see it the first time.
I gotcha. It's just what Grandpa does.
It's Grandpa.
Yeah, so, there he is driving that Super Witch again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of kids, and I think there's a bunch of adults that have them too. I unfortunately don't have one on my desk, but there was at one point a model toy of a Super Witch that was developed. Do you know all about that?
Yeah, we was doing that during the sponsorship of some of the NASCAR stuff, and the toys were big in that. And so we called it Ditch Witch Motorsports at the time.
Okay.
We decided to do a toy. It's a little cast of the Super Witch 5. So it was a pretty good little product for us for quite a while.
Yeah.
A lot of people's got them on their desk.
Where did that come from? So do you know how many we made or how those were distributed or anything like that?
We had to put in an order. I remember it was a lot of them. And they finally gave some away at IQ. There should be about one for everybody out there somewhere.
Do you have one?
Oh, I have several.
Okay, good. Maybe I can get one of yours. I don't have one.
You don't have one?
Will you sign it?
I did sign a lot of them at IQ one time.
Oh, really?
When we gave them away, a little kid come up and, would you sign this? And I said, sure. So then everybody got in line, and I had to sign a bunch of them. But,
what did you sign it? Did Don Pemberton or Super Witch dude?
Just Don Pemberton. I thought, well, it was nothing to him, but it evidently was.
No, it was. That's awesome. So does that happen? So you get all kinds of reactions and responses from audiences that you do that. I mean, I've seen you at Utility Expo put on a show. We get 100 people around our fence, and people want to come up and talk to you. Like, what's a typical response from somebody that just watched you put on a show?
Most people want to know how fast it can go, and how did you get that job?
Yeah,
that's the main two things that probably comes out of it. They think it's fascinating. They think that we put a lot of effort into something to make a nice machine out of it.
And what is the answer to that? What did you say, 40, 45 miles an hour?
Yeah, most of the time it's about 40, 45, and it'll go that fast in a wheelie. So that's about top speed. Any more than that, the big tires start walking all over the road.
Yeah. So at those speeds, at some of these events that you're at, it's not a very big arena.
No, you have to judge for that. I mean, most of the time, if you see it out in the open, it's in high gear when it's in a wheelie, but in close quarters, it's first gear, and just kind of do what you can do. But it comes back down out of the wheelie real fast.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How do you shut her down?
Throw it in reverse.
Throw it in reverse, obviously.
Yeah.
So just like a lot of times it's performing on dirt, you throw it in reverse.
I have. It's the best brake you got. You rev her up a little and throw it in reverse. It usually throws dirt on people, but at least it stops it.
Adds to the experience, right?
Yeah, sure.
They could bag it up and take it home. And I got sprayed with this Super Witch dirt at Utility Expo.
Yeah,
it'd be quite the thing. So you get a lot of good reactions from spectators. Has there ever been an opportunity to? You mentioned a sponsorship with NASCAR drivers and things like that. Has there ever been an influencer or a movie opportunity or anything that we were able to take advantage of with the Super Witch?
We had some advertising guys that was trying to work a deal with that home improvement.
Oh, yeah. More power.
And he was supposed to be like he rented a trencher and get on this thing, and but then the show got canceled before we made all the ends meet. But Mickey Brown was talking with some guys from that company, and they was trying to get something going, but it never came through.
I used to love that show.
Yeah, it's a cool show.
It was so good. Wilson, who's my favorite. Never saw his face. I wonder what he looks like.
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we'll never know. Yeah, that would have been cool to be on there. We talked about a little bit me causing a bunch of problems for you and everybody thinking you're retired back with that Wall Street Journal article. If you had to guess, how many people have reached out to you or said anything about that article or about your retirement?
I didn't know that many people would find out about it, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Even dealerships, people in Perry just.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were retired.
Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I don't know that there are any definite plans for retirement at this point. We're not ready to announce anything.
No.
No. But there are, I will say, some works in progress at whatever point Don decides to retire. We need to have a new Super Witch driver. There's such value to this. And we've had a couple guys kind of test it out, one of which is Jeff Smith. I don't know his title either, engineer or team lead design or something, but he's a bit of a gearhead and likes building cars and stuff. Mm-hmm. So Don, you and I and Jeff, we were the only three that went out up by the hangar on the where your office is up there and watched him try it out for the first time. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good at all.
He tried, but like he said, when he got off, it's a lot harder than he thought.
Yeah.
So he's getting better at it. He's been running it quite a bit. We've got another gentleman running it, Terry Golay.
Yep, the training center.
He's doing good with it. So never on there about as long as I've been on there, they might be good.
Yeah, they'll be pros at it at that point. But yeah, I remember sitting up there with Jeff, and he got on it. And it just reminded me immediately of teaching my 16-year-old son how to drive a stick shift.
Yeah.
He had that thing bucking back and forth. It was wild. So how long do you think it was for you to be comfortable on it? I know last episode we had talked about it was kind of just figuring it out at a show. But like, do you recall a time or something where it's like, okay, I feel pretty comfortable. I got the hang of this thing.
I think that also grew with machines.
Okay.
The first machines was harder to operate. It wasn't completed as well as these last few. So you had to stay away from everything and just out there kind of nervous every time what's going to happen to the machine. But as we went with those, and especially since Super Witch 4 and on,
right,
we got those things pretty perfected to be safe and to be good and reliable. And so you get safer also the longer, you ride a bicycle. And you think you're pretty good at 18. You're not too good at 6.
Yeah, no doubt. So, you get it figured out. You mentioned safety too. So what goes through your head as the Super Witch driver and you're at a local parade, and obviously there's I don't think you can do it anymore. I don't know if you can throw out candy anymore at parades, but either way, there's kids and parents and everybody lining the what's going
safety
through your head?
First. And at a parade you learn to watch way down the road and watch them kids' eyes and things like that, so they don't run out there. We don't want anybody hurt. We want to be safe with it. But normally when they hear that thing coming, they back up and start going wheelie. They know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
so
sit back and watch.
So they kind of stay out of your way.
Does it run in the cold? Have you ever taken it up to a cold environment?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you dig in ice?
Well, we've never tried ice. We've done some frozen ground, but it's like a regular trencher. I mean, it's going to dig.
Yeah.
It may be just a little bit slower.
I got you.
But it's going to dig.
Yeah. So you had mentioned too, and kind of just back on the responsibilities of the Super Witch driver, that there's not much, or there hasn't been much of a process in place for a dealer to request you to come, right? So what does that look like? If I'm a dealer in Kentucky and I want you to come, or I want the Super Witch to be there, what historically had been the case?
Well, historically, everyone knew who ran it.
Yeah.
So they just called me and see if I was available. Then we'd kind of set it up for. We tried to make all their open houses if they want us there. We try to do it.
So there, with the news that I broke that's not news yet of Don's retirement, there have been some things put in place to try to figure out how are we going to replace this man and everything that he's done for the Super Witch. So I'm curious as to what some of your thoughts are on the attention that the Super Witch is getting now. I mean, heck, we have a committee that are trying to figure out, multiple brains, albeit not very big ones, mine being one, trying to figure out how to make up for everything that you've done as far as maintenance and getting it there. We're trying to get schedules and schedule requests in place.
I think as a team, you guys are going to be able to do it easier, and the dealers will have more knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, it was word of mouth before, so and they kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have it out there on the web and stuff like that with them, and I think it's going to be easier for them to incorporate that into their systems, what they want to do with it. And I think it's a pretty cool idea. The to get all that going. That's today's world, you know.
Right. Another part, which I think you're fairly plugged into, is we're trying to get a dedicated Super Witch trailer that we can haul this thing around. Have you heard about that?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a testament to Don and everything that you've done over the last 35 years with the Super Witch, that now we feel like we need a trailer and that this is a big thing. I mean, what is your response to Ditch Witch finally putting a spotlight on this thing and trying to give it a bunch of attention that only you have known what's gone into it for 35 years?
I think it's pretty cool that a team's looking into that, and it's going to continue the legacy of it. It's, I think it's doing great. You get more advertisement out of it.
Right.
A lot more shows, a lot more fun, a lot more everybody having a little fun at the work. So
yeah, no doubt. I think it has put, at least for me, a much bigger bit of attention on everything that Don does for the Super Witch. I mean, like I said, everybody else in the world sees the machine show up and run for 3 minutes, and that's it. But being on this Super Witch committee, trying to figure out all the pieces and components that go into this, it's overwhelming. And we have a group of people. I just can't imagine that it was a one-man show for that long.
Well, you know, I had guys helping me too. But now it's dedicated to it, and I had to borrow help before and stuff like that. But it should be a lot better program once we get it all flying.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be great. Are there, without breaking any crazy news here, do you know of any other iterations coming up? Is there a Super Witch 8 in the works?
I think they're looking at it maybe as a new product. Maybe when we get some skid steers, they may try something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be involved in it, so
you might be.
No, maybe. But,
unless I start another rumor.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. So the Super Witch is, it's been around since 1978 or 79. Excuse me. It's just continued to build momentum and get attention on the brand. Our founder, Ed Malzahn, was against it. He is not a look at me type of guy. What do you think Ed Malzahn would think of where we're at right now with the Super Witch?
I think he thinks it's all right now. I mean, in the last several years that we had him, I think he was seeing the crowd and seeing how that thing gained momentum.
Right.
And how much it did for Ditch Witch and the amount of knowledge that everybody had out of it. I think he was okay with it, and I think that he'd be really happy now that because it's reliable and because we do things with it that just is good for all of Ditch Witch.
Right, and do them the right way, too. Nobody's going to be crazy on the thing.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I think I could sit around and talk about Super Witch stuff all day long, but I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it today. Hopefully, if you're still around for season 2, we'd love to have you come back. I'm not going to start any more rumors about this is his last day.
Don't be doing them last rumors.
That's right. They're no good. So I appreciate all you guys for joining us. Don, obviously, thank you for hopping on today and helping us get this podcast launched.
Cool. Thank you.
So next time, we will have another guest on, and we'll talk all things Ditch Witch. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Beyond the Moon. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform and follow us on social media @Ditch Witch.